that seems to help. All of this drinking and smoking is hopeless, but feels like it's all that I need. Something inside of me's broken. I hold on to anything that sets me free. I'm a lost cause. Baby, don't waste your time on me. I'm so damaged beyond repair. Life has shattered my hopes and my dreams. I'm a lost cause. Baby, don't waste your time on me. I'm so damaged beyond repair. Life has shattered my hopes and my dreams.
What if the night sky was missing the moon? There were no shooting stars to use wishing on you. And all of my sorrows, I just washed them down. It's the only peace I've ever found.
All of this drinking and smoking is hopeless, but feels like it's all that I need. Something inside of me's broken. I hold on to anything that sets me free. I'm a lost cause. Baby, don't waste your time on me. I'm so damaged beyond compare. Life has shattered my hopes and my dreams. I'm a lost cause. Baby, don't waste your time on me. I'm so damaged beyond compare. Life has shattered my hopes and my dreams. If you just stand up tonight, let's worship together. And I will sing, for you alone have rescued this life. Jesus, you have set me free. You alone took away all sin and disgrace. When you gave your life to ransom me, I am forgiven. At the foot of the cross, I am accepted. So you're standing in the light of your glory and grace, where heaven's love and justice meet. Now I live for the one who has called me by name, who is risen and alive in me. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted by the power of your love. My every sin is washed away. I am forgiven. Sing, I'm forgiven. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted by the power of your love. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercy you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven, and I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. I am forgiven. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted by the power of your love. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. Sing, I'm embraced at the foot of the cross. And I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. I'm embraced. And I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven, and I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. Come on, sing it one more time. I'm embraced at the foot of the cross. And I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. foot of the cross, by the love and mercies you've lavished on us, my every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. Oh, troubled Messiah, you prayed through the night. Unbearable sorrow, the world on your mind. Betrayed by the kiss of a friend, you were taken by your own free will. Rejected and disowned by those you came to heal. Stripped of your clothes, you were mocked, you were beaten, made a king of fools, a crown of sorrow driven deep into your brow. Yet you made no sound. What you went through to love me, I'll never understand. What blows my mind away is you love me as I am. They call for Barabbas, a king for a thief, parading your kindness like racks through the street. Draped with the weight of the world on your shoulders as you climb that hill, a burden far too great for flesh and bone to bear. You stretched out your arms as you welcomed those Roman nails, your body frail, the very hands that shaped the world hung up to bleed. Lifted on high, crucified, him who knew no sin, the Nazarene, the Son of Man, the Lamb of God, Emmanuel, given to die. What you went through to love me, I'll never understand. What blows my mind away is you love me as I am. Precious Redeemer, Lamb that was slain, hope for the hopeless, lifter of shame, friend to the sinner, grace to my soul. Death is defeated, now my sin is gone. describe. What you went through to love me, I'll never understand. What blows my mind away is you do it all again.
Any names, otherwise I rob you of your reward from heaven. So thank you for being in the booth where nobody can see you. Everybody who's watching online from all around the world and Carpentersville, we want to welcome you. And if you're in Carpentersville, get your butt to church. There's still time. So today's just a little bit different. Today we're remembering what Jesus did on the cross and how he was buried in a tomb. Today, we're going to take communion together as a church family. Now, don't freak out, because communion isn't a church thing. It's not a denominational thing. It's not a I'm good thing. It's a Jesus said, I want you to remember that I gave my life for you. I shed my blood. My body hung on a cross. And I died, and 3 days later, I resurrected because death couldn't keep me down. And because of that, I defeated death, and I defeated sin once and for all. I never want you to forget what is the center of Christianity. Let me say that again. I never want you to forget what the center of the center is of being a Christ follower. It's not about worship. Now, worship is awesome, and many of you love worship, but that's not the center of Christianity. It's not discipleship. Discipleship is essential and it's important. We need to grow in our walk with Christ, and we have so many new believers attending, and I just love it. It fires me up, and we're got a process for you to go through to grow, but that's not the main thing of Christianity. That's not the center of being a Christ follower. It's not an emphasis on serving. Serving is essential. Tonight, none of this happens if we don't have hearts that are unselfish and putting all their personal preferences aside and coming together and making this night possible and this whole weekend possible. Serving is essential in the church. There is no such thing as an unserving Christian. It's a oxymoron. And I make people at Discovery feel uncomfortable every week who attend, who call themselves a Christian, who aren't serving. But that's not the center of being a Christ follower. Jesus, in his last supper, the Passover meal, it's the last one he's going to take with his disciples. He sits with his disciples and he says, guys, I'm about to communicate to you the center of what it means to be a follower of me. So we're going to get into that. And I want everybody here, if you're a Christ follower, to take communion. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be, have the best Christian, the best week ever in your Christian life. It's about getting up every day and saying, Jesus, I am a sinner. I'm broken, I'm dysfunctional. My heart always leans to my flesh. I want to do my things. I'm so selfish and self-centered. I'm so narcissistic. But by your grace and what we're celebrating here tonight, you gave your life for this selfish person. And because of that, I'm free. Because of that, I'm redeemed. And Jesus said, don't you ever forget. And we say, well, how, Jesus, how can I remember? He said, I want you to take communion. Not because you're good, but because I'm good. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. Normally I have a TV on stage and I, do my whole thing, but I'm just going to read from a story in Matthew chapter 27. And the title, if I could, of my message, so I'm not a great titler of messages, and you'll know why after you hear the title of this message. The title of this Good Friday message here tonight is Jesus Destroyed for You. See, I told you I'm not good at that. See, I told you I normally stay away from titles, and you're saying, well, Pastor, why did Jesus get destroyed for me? Why I don't understand it. Why did he get destroyed? What's this whole Good Friday, crucifixion, hanging on a cross, dying for my sins? Why did that happen? Why did I destroy Jesus? Why are you saying that? So I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 27. In your Bibles, this is the story of when Jesus is on trial before Pilate, and the Jewish people. It's the festival. It's the Passover. So there's tens of thousands, if not maybe hundreds of thousands of Jewish people there in Jerusalem celebrating the Passover feast, the festival, and this is the time when they finally bring Jesus before they got him on trial for nothing. They got him on trial for nothing. And they bring him before the governor, Pilate. And it says here in verse 11, now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, are you the king of the Jews? Jesus said, you have said so. But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he gave no answer. Watch this. Then Pilate said to him, do you not hear the many things they testify against you, Jesus? But he gave them no answer, not even a single charge, so that the governor, Pontius Pilate, was what? He was greatly amazed. So here's a question I want to ask everybody in this room tonight. Are we greatly amazed by Jesus anymore? I'm not asking if you love Jesus, all right? Like you're here, we're remembering. Like I'm not saying if you love Jesus. I'm saying, are we greatly amazed by Jesus anymore? So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Several months ago, I think it was in October, SpaceX launched a rocket ship. And I remember watching this on TV because the whole launching a rocket into space, it leaves me speechless how we can do that. The technology, the engineering that goes into that. I was just like, I'm amazed every time a rocket goes off successfully. And so this big giant rocket, it's called a Starship rocket, And it launched perfectly off the launch pad, and it's going into the air. And you can hear, the control tower, to the astronauts that are on board. Everything's going great. But there's commentators that are commentating as the Starship is going up into the air. And what I thought I heard them say was, this is the first time that they're going to attempt to return the booster rocket after dislodging from the capsule to come back down through the Earth's atmosphere and land back into the launching pad where it took off from. And I thought I heard that, but I didn't really hear that. I said, that's crazy. That'll never happen. So I'm watching SpaceX go up. I'm watching this thing go up into the air further and further. And then they show that shot, from the rocket down to the Earth. And then they show the booster rocket like dislodging. I was like, it did its job, right? It got the capsule to where it needed to be for its second phase. And now the booster rocket is coming back down into the Earth's atmosphere. I remember watching this, said, this is crazy. And then I heard the announcer say it again. We're anticipating the booster rocket for the first time in history to be able to land back in the launching pad from where it took off from. And I said, you are nuts. That will never happen in 1,000 years. That is no, that cannot happen. My first reaction was, that can't happen. And sure enough, everyone's looking up, the camera's pointed up, you're waiting for that booster rocket to come down, and all of a sudden it appears. And it's coming down at hundreds of miles an hour. That thing's never gonna stop. That thing's going to crash land in the water. And it's coming down super fast, and all of a sudden, when it looks like it's about to, like it's gonna crash, it's gonna get past that point of no return, all of a sudden a booster turns on underneath, lights it up, and fires it and stops its downward momentum. I'm like, oh, well, that was kind of cool. And then it starts to aim itself towards the launch pad from where it actually launched just a few minutes earlier. I said, there is no way that's gonna happen. And SpaceX built this launch tower with these two arms that they call chopsticks, all right? There's another cool name, but I don't remember that name, so just go with me. Chopsticks, right? Chopsticks. And the whole idea was the booster rocket was gonna come down and it was gonna land itself, and the chopsticks were gonna catch it and close, and it was gonna be the first time ever. And as the booster rocket came down, it started to angle and angle. I go, how is that angling? What is going on here? And I start screaming. I go, this can't happen. This is not happening. And the rocket's getting closer and closer. And all of a sudden, you could see the bottom of the booster rocket comes inside of the chopsticks. I go, there is no way. And it straightens itself out perfectly, and it lands, and the chopsticks close. And you hear people going nuts, and you hear the people inside of the mission control going, yeah, yeah. And I'm in my house going, oh my God, I don't believe this. This is crazy. This has never happened before. I just sat there utterly amazed at what I just saw. Here's the question. Are we still utterly amazed with Jesus? Every time we pray to him, every time we gather to worship him, every time we read about him, every time we experience, are we amazed? Now, maybe for some of you that amazement story was a little bit much. Maybe you're here this I'm gonna say this morning, this evening, moms, dads, your greatly amazed moment is when you walk into the bedroom of your teenage son or teenage daughter and it's clean. And you fall to a knee and you say, God, I'm in utter amazement, God. After the crucifixion, this is the next greatest miracle that has happened on planet Earth right now. You see, if we're honest, many in this room here today and many watching online, we're church people. We grew up in church. We grew up with Jesus always around, right? He just was always there. Like, we grew up just believing in Jesus, so he was just always there, right? And it's not that we don't love him, but we kind of lose the amazement of him being there. And you have a friend come over, and they're like, oh, who is that? And you go, what? Oh, yeah, that's Jesus. Yeah, he's here all the time. Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. And you're not. There's no longer amazement anymore. Are we greatly amazed by Jesus? Well, Pastor, give me something a little bit more practical. How can I be greatly amazed with Jesus? Let me give you a practical way of how we can be greatly amazed with Jesus. How about with his grace? How about his amazing grace? We sang about that tonight. We're going to sing about it a little more. How about being amazed with the amazing grace of Jesus Christ? Well, what does that look like, Pastor Dan? Well, because grace is the same for everybody. Jesus told a story in Matthew chapter 20, a parable of a master who had a vineyard, and he went and he hired help to work in his vineyard. It was a 8 to 5. You come in at 8 and you leave at 5. And he had his first worker showed up at 8 o'clock sharp, and he made a deal with him. He said, I will pay you $100 for the day to work my vineyard. He said, absolutely, master. He went and he worked. A few hours later, at about 11 o'clock, a second worker came, and he says, I'm here for the job. He said, you know what? I'll pay you $100 a day for the rest of this day if you go out and work on my field. He said, I'm in. I'll go out there. Then another person came after lunch, about 2 o'clock. And he says, I'm here to answer the ad. He says, yes, absolutely. Here's the deal I'm going to make with you. I'll pay you $100 for this day to work in my field. Quitting time is at 5. He says, absolutely, master. He went out and he started working in that field. And finally, somebody else came at about 4 o'clock and said, I'm here to answer the ad. And he said, absolutely, here's the deal. I will pay you $100 to work till the end of this day in my field. He said, sign me up. The end of the day came. Those people came back, and Jesus said, okay, I'm going to pay you the wages listen, this was between me and you. I'm going to pay you the wages that I said I was going to. So the 4 o'clock guy came, and the master said, here's your $100. And the 8 o'clock guy is like, maybe he upped mine, and I didn't know because I worked a lot longer. I was a much harder worker. I'm a better worker. I'm a better person. I deserve better. And then he paid the 2 o'clock person $100. And he's like, what does, the 8 o'clock is going, what is going? And then the 11 o'clock guy, he gave him $800. And then he came to the 8 o'clock guy. And the 8 o'clock guy said, wait a minute. And the master handed him $100. He said, whoa, $100? I deserve more. I deserve. Everybody say, I deserve. I deserve better. I deserve more. I'm a better person than those other workers. I came earlier. I worked harder. I worked all day. Listen, I am better than them. And the master said, who was the agreement between? And the servant said, you and me. He says, yes, this agreement was between you and I. And you don't get to compare yourself to any of the workers. That's called amazing grace. That's called getting something that we don't deserve. That's called, I deserve God to bless me. No, you know what you deserve? You deserve God to strike you right down right now and turn you into a pile of ash. Now, as it happened at Discovery Church, tonight could be the first night. I don't know. I hope not, okay? Every time I invite friends, they're like, oh, lightning's going to strike me. I said, listen, we've had the worst of the worst coming in, and lightning hasn't struck yet. You may be the first one, but you know what? I doubt it. I'll tell you what we deserve. We deserve to be eternally separated from a holy God. We deserve, when we think on our best day, compared to those people, compared to my coworker who came in late and left early and cheated on his reports and didn't complete them so he could get paid, and I did it the right way. Listen, on our best day, it's still sin before a holy God. You know what we deserve? To be eternally separated from him. But you know what amazing grace says? Even though you don't deserve it, I'm going to give you grace. Even though you don't deserve it, I'm going to give you something that you didn't even earn, something that you don't deserve. You don't want what you deserve. You want what, listen, I'm going to give you, and that is amazing grace. Are we amazed with Jesus? I know we love him, but listen, a Pilate wasn't even a believer, and he was amazed with Jesus. So that's the first thought. Let's go to verse 15. Now at the feast, the governor was accustomed to release the crowd, any one prisoner whom they wanted. And they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. This is good. This is going to be good. So when they had gathered, Pilate said to them, whom do you want me to release for you? Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ. For he knew that it was out of envy that they had delivered him up. Now, again, this is the Passover. There's tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Jewish people right now in Jerusalem. They were getting rowdy. They were getting angry. A riot was about to break out. They brought Jesus on, to be on trial because he claimed to be the Son of God, and that was blasphemy in their eyes. So Pilate was giving into the political pressure of the Jewish people. Now, who was Barabbas? Barabbas was a guy who was an insurrectionist. Barabbas was a revolutionary, but Barabbas was part of the Sicarii. It was part of a group of Jewish people who believed that the true call of Israel was to overthrow the Roman government. He was a murderer. He hated the people of Rome. He was an insurrectionist. I mean, Barabbas was the type of guy who would put on a jacket of explosives and walk right into the town mall, right into the town market, and blow himself up. That's how extreme Barabbas was. Now, the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas, the revolutionary, the extremist, the terrorist. And what? And destroy Jesus. Pause. Give us Barabbas and destroy Jesus? Are you hearing that? Give us Barabbas, the extreme terrorist, the notorious sinner, the revolutionary. Give the guy who's in rebellion all the time. He murders people. Give us Barabbas and destroy Jesus. Does that make sense? If you're a Christ follower here today, even if you're not, even if you're considered a religious person or go to church, give me the murderer, give me the guy who's in rebellion, give me the guy who's like anti-everything, and destroy Jesus. Pastor Dan, I would never do that. I'm hearing this message here today, and if I was in that crowd, I would never do that. So lean in for a second. This is going to get a little harsh, but it's Good Friday. You want to feel good about yourself? Come back on Sunday. Every time we sin, by the way, we're all sinners. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Everyone in this room is a big, fat sinner. Pastor, I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm 10 Commandments. I do this every year, and I'm 10 for 10. I'm 100%. 10 Commandments. It says, do not lie. How many of you have ever told a single lie? One single lie your whole life? How many of you have ever told a lie your whole life? Raise your hand. You've told lies. You've told lies. You've told lies. All right, if you didn't raise your hand, Jesus, I want to welcome you to our Good Friday service. Tonight's all about you. We're going to worship you at the end of this. We're going to bring you up here. And you didn't raise your hand, you're a liar. Now you're a liar. So you've made yourself a liar. See, automatically, you've sinned. You can't say you've lived a perfect life because you've lied at least once in your life. Every time we sin, and we're all sinners, here's what we do. Lean in, church. I want you to lean in. Lean in. Every time we sin, here's what we're doing. Well, I would never do that to Jesus, Pat. I would never do that to Jesus. Every time we sin, here's what we're doing. We're crying out, give us Barabbas. Every time we sin, we're crying out like the Jewish people, give us Barabbas and destroy Jesus. I want Barabbas. I want rebellion. I want insurrection. I want my own selfish desires. I want what I want. I want my own pleasure. I want to go by my own feelings. And what I'm feeling right now is I want Barabbas because that allows me to do what I want to do. Jesus, you can suffer and you can go to the cross because I don't feel like doing that right now. So I want Barabbas in my life. I want it so bad, I am willing to send Jesus to the cross because it's better for Jesus to suffer than me. Now, let me set it up this way. Long time ago, me and my brother were still living at home. We were kids who were fighting. We were told 100 times by mom and dad not to fight. Can I get an amen? Parents, you've told your kids 100 times not to fight in the living room because, listen, nothing good is going to come out of that. It's either going to be somebody's going to cry, get a bloody nose, or a piece of furniture is going to get broken. Okay, in this case, it was the third. We knocked over one of Mom's French provincial lamps. Yeah, I have no idea what that meant. We got them at JCPenney, and they were French provincial, and we just knew that we worshiped at the altar of the French provincial amp. It was just like, that was like Mom's, you know. And we were fighting, and we were rolling on the ground and throwing punches and throwing kicks and flipping each other over. And sure enough, a leg went out, and I think it was Richard's, and it kicked. And it kicked the lamp, and the lamp went over, and it was like a scene in the Brady Bunch, and it went over, and it just crashed. And we just looked at each other and went, and we knew we were in trouble. We knew we were in trouble. Now, we didn't want, neither one of us wanted to suffer, so we kind of made a pact, all right? We said, look, we're gonna stand strong, okay? Neither of us want to suffer, so we're gonna be a team, okay? We're gonna stand strong. So Dad got home, and Mom told him what had happened. So my dad, this particular time, he sent us to 2 different rooms. He didn't send us to the same room. He sent us to 2 different rooms because he wanted to extract information and find out what really happened. Well, I remember I was in my room, and I was, and Richard was in his room, and I got my ear to the door. I'm trying to hear what Mom's saying to Dad, so I can rebuff that. I'm trying to be a good brother, younger brother, and we're gonna hold the line, Richard. We're gonna hold the line. Or we're gonna make it through. We're gonna make it without any punishment, without any suffering. And then my dad comes into the room. I can hear that doorknob sort of jiggling, and it opens, and I went. And my dad comes in. Listen, my dad was one of the most loving men and father that you will ever know. But he wasn't afraid to discipline me when I disobeyed him. And he walked into the room, and he lifted up his shirt, and he started to go for his belt. That belt would strike fear in anybody. I'm just saying. I think it was a Kmart leather belt. I don't know what it was, but it had whip, and it had snap. It worked. So my dad started. You've had that. Okay, he started to take it off, and he took it off, and he kind of put the ends together and made that special. And he goes, son. You need to tell me what happened here. I go, it was Richard. Richard did it. Richard's the one that kicked it, Dad. Richard is the one that kicked it. I'm telling you right now. You gotta believe me, Dad. You gotta believe me. It was Richard. Come on, who's ever done that to your sibling when you were, don't look at me all judgy. Why did I do that for? Even as a kid, we do this as children. Why? Because I want Barabbas. I don't want Jesus. I don't want to choose suffering. I want Barabbas. I want my own selfish desires. I want what I want. I want how I feel right now. And how I feel is I don't want to suffer with the punishment that I know I deserve, but if I can get out of it by identifying with Barabbas and not Jesus, why not let my brother suffer instead of me? Can I get an amen? Been doing that since I was a kid. I don't know about you. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I want Barabbas. I want rebellion. I want insurrection against you, God. I want my personal preferences, God. I want my will in your life. So when we sit here as Christ followers and we're like, I would never do that to Jesus. Don't get so prideful. Don't get so arrogant to say that you would never choose Barabbas, a sin in your life, over Jesus, because you know that if you choose Jesus, there's going to be suffering in your life. That was tough, and I love you all, even our first-time guests. Verse 21. The governor again said to them, which of the 2 do you want me to release? And they said, Barabbas. We want what we want. We want rebellion. We want our hearts to get its own desire. Pilate said, what should I do with the person who's called Christ? And they said, let him be crucified. Let him be crucified. And Pilate said, what evil has he done? But they shouted all the more, let him be crucified. So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather a riot from the growing crowd of tens of thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands, Jewish people that were in Jerusalem for the festival, but rather than a riot was beginning, he took water and he washed his hands before the crowd. Now listen, lean in. I'm innocent of this man's blood. I'm innocent of this man's blood. Everybody say, I'm innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourself. This is a scary, sobering verse. Because in this story, in every story that Jesus tells, every parable, there's God and then there's us. There's Jesus and then there's us. Make sure to never get us confused with Jesus and who we are. In this story, we're Pilate. In this story, listen, we're the ones as Christ followers who say, I'm washing my hands of this, whatever's going on, because I am not such a bad person. Compared to you all, you're bad. Me, I'm pretty good. So I'm washing my hands. It's not what I did that put Jesus up on the cross and shed his blood. That wasn't me. His blood is on your hands, you people, you sinners, because compared to you and you and you, I'm good. I'm washing my hands. It's a sobering verse because he's basically saying, I'm a good person. I pray. I go to church every week. I even go to special services like Good Friday. Look, God, I'm here. I serve. I give. I'm active in my community. I help, I help the older generation all the time. I tutor young kids. I give. I'm selfless. I'm a good person. I got baptized. I got dedicated. I got baptized as a child. I got baptized as an adult. I got dedicated as a kid. I'm the most holy person that you could ever meet. But my friend who doesn't know God, it's his sin and her sin that put Jesus on the cross. I'm innocent. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. They're guilty of the blood of Jesus being shed, not me. And can I say, for every person here that's a Christ follower, that is a dangerous road to walk down. Because all of us have sinned. All of us have fallen short of the glory of God. All of us have yelled, Barabbas. I want my own desire. I want my own way. I'm in rebellion. I don't want to suffer. All of us are like Danny when he was a kid, who would rather break the truce and break the trust and say it's easier to throw my brother under the bus and say I want Barabbas than have to suffer for standing up for Jesus. And all the people answered, his blood is on our hands and our children. That's crazy in itself. Then he released for them Barabbas, the insurrectionist, the murderer, the terrorist, the person who's in rebellion. And then here's this kind of throwaway, it's like a throwaway verse. It's like we read over it and we don't really know what it means. It says, and having scourged Jesus, everybody say scourged. Jesus delivered him to be crucified. So I'm going to unpack what it meant to be scourged, and then we're going to transition into communion here tonight. I don't have a whole time to read through this story, but this was a good stopping point, and I want to talk about what it means to be scourged. Because we just read this, and it's just a Passover. It's like, oh, he got scourged. Okay, well, what's next in the crucifixion story? You have to understand that if anybody's ever seen the Passion of the Christ, you know what being scourged is. It is the most inhumane, brutal, evil way that you could inflict pain on it. The Romans were professional. The Romans were top tier when it came to crucifixion. The Romans knew how to inflict the most pain on the human body without killing it. They were experts. So when it says, having scourged Jesus, like they just brush right over it, then they sent him to be crucified. As if being scourged wasn't enough. Scourging was, they had a whip, and on the end of the whip, they tied pieces of glass and teeth. They tied pieces of bone. They tied pieces of metal. And then they would come across, and then they would take the person. In this case, they would take Jesus, and they would tie his hands together. And then they would lay him over a hump, so his back would be fully exposed. And then they would take the whip, and they would start whipping from side, and they would hit into the side of the body of Jesus. And the rocks and the pieces of metal, they would be to bruise and soften the skin. And then the teeth, and then the glass, those things were there to rip the flesh away. And each time that they would hit Jesus, it would take away more flesh. It would start to soften and peel away flesh. That's what it was designed to do. This was called being scourged. And then over time, more and more blood would start to pour out of the body of Jesus. With each whip, more of his body was being ripped away. Over time, if it continued, some of the inner parts, some of the muscles would start to be ripped away. Some of the intestines would start to be ripped away. Some of the bones would start to be ripped away from being scourged. And then blood would be everywhere. The blood was scattered everywhere. So, we're going to take communion, because communion is about the body and the blood. Communion, see, the story doesn't end there. You come back Sunday, Jesus dies on a cross, Jesus is buried in a tomb, but 3 days later, Jesus resurrects. We know the end of the story. Community is remembering what Jesus did and why he did it. And he did it for us. Because we're the Jewish people in the crowd crying, Barabbas, give us Barabbas. We want what we want. We want our own heart. We want our own desires. We want our own selfish ways. We're narcissistic. We want what we want, and we don't want to suffer with Jesus. Give us Barabbas. And many of us identify with Pilate. I'm not that bad. I'm not those Jewish people, Pastor Dan. I'm a good person. I don't think I sinned that much this month. But you did sin. And that one, whatever that one, even if you just had one this month, which is would be phenomenal, and I want to hang with you because you'll make me a better person. I'll bring you down before you bring me up probably. That put Jesus on the cross. That was responsible for the blood that was shed. And Jesus never wants us to forget that he died for a reason. It wasn't in vain. It wasn't because he had nothing else better to do. It wasn't because he was in pain. He was into the pain. It wasn't because he wanted to show, his pain tolerance to the world. It's because he loved the people in this room so stinking much. It wasn't just lip service. He wanted to give his life. So we're going to take communion. And today we're going to do it a little bit old school. Normally we hand out the cups with the wafers. But today we're going to go old school. Now, if you're new to church, you're like, what's old school communion? Old school communion is when we're going to get up roll by roll. I'm going to ask the band to come on up here. You're going to be dismissed row by row. They'll tell you how to go. You're going to come up and you're going to get the two symbols of communion. This is the center of the gospel right here, which I'm going to talk about after everybody gets their communion. So the ushers are going to let you go row by row, and upstairs we have ushers that'll guide you and tell you where to go. The band's going to sing this song called Forgiven. We're going to create the tone. We're going to create the mood, the environment, the atmosphere. We're going to be in awe of Jesus as this happens for his amazing grace. Like, I'm here alive today because of his amazing grace. If you find nothing else to be thankful for and be in awe for, just thank him for the grace that saved you from the place that he found you at. You come up here, you take your juice, you take your cracker, and I want you to hang on to them. You go back into your seats because we're going to take this together. I'm going to lead you in communion, and we're going to talk about what the blood means and why Jesus used blood for the forgiveness of sin. So I'm going to ask our ushers, wherever you're at, to take your place. They're gonna leave you row by row. Please don't move until they let you go, and then just come around, get it, and go right back into your row as we worship. Let's worship.
And I will sing for you alone, have rescued this life. Jesus, you've set me free. You alone took away all sin and disgrace when you gave your life to ransom me. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted by the power of your love. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. So here I stand in the light of your glory and grace, where heaven's love and justice meet. Now I live for the one who has called me by name, who is risen and alive in me. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted by the power of your love. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted by the power of your love. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. At the foot of the cross, by the love and the mercies you've lavished on us, my every stain is washed away. I am forgiven, and I'm embraced at the foot of the cross, by the love and the mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven, and I'm embraced at the foot of the cross, by the love and the mercy you lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. I am forgiven at the foot of the cross. I am accepted washed away. I am forgiven, am forgiven, and I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and the mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven.
Forward for communion, and so many of the faces are new. So many of the faces have just so many different stories of how Christ found them, loved them, gave them, changed their life, and now they're here living for Jesus, taking communion on Good Friday. That just blesses my heart. Would you stand with me? I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 26. So it's up on the screen. This happened before what we just read in Matthew chapter 27. This is Jesus in the upper room, the Passover meal, the last Passover meal that represented the Jewish people remembering being delivered from 400 years of slavery from Pharaoh and Egypt, and being delivered by the miracles of God, and crossing the Red Sea, and God doing that miracle, and the angel that was promised that would come and wipe out all the firstborn except those that had the blood of the goat that God sent down word to say, here's how I need you to do that. You put that blood over that sacrificed goat, and my angel will pass over that, and all the firstborn will be taken that day. And they remember how God used that to break Pharaoh's hard heart and set them free. And now Jesus is saying, now Passover is going to mean something new. Now it's going to be my body and my blood, my flesh and my blood. And he just blows their mind. But let me read this passage. It says, while they were eating, Jesus took the bread, and when he gave thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, take, eat, this is my body. They'd never heard this before. If you take communion nowadays, we know this verse, we read it. When we take communion, we're like, oh yeah, I know this verse. I know exactly what Jesus is talking about. It's symbolic. It's not his real flesh. It's not his real blood. It's symbolic. But back then they're like, Jesus, we're not even carnivores. It's against our religion. We don't eat human flesh. They're just trying to figure it out. Then he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you. Now watch this. This is my blood. Everybody say blood. This is my blood of the covenant. In other words, my blood is going to be a covenant with you and all of the people who follow me for the hundreds and thousands of years after this. So we're included in that covenant with Jesus, which is what? Poured out. Everybody say poured out. So it's my blood poured out for many, thank God, many, for the what? Forgiveness of sins. He says in verse 28, my blood poured out, my blood is poured out for the forgiveness of sin. Now here's the question I want to ask, and here's something I want us to reflect on before we take communion. Why blood? I mean, why blood? Why blood poured out for the forgiveness of sin? Why is that? And it's because God uses blood as a symbol as to how bad our sin is. Let me say that again. Why the blood? Why the blood for the forgiveness of sin? And the reason is because God uses blood. This is a symbol of the blood. We got some white Chardonnay here today. Normally it's red, but it's still the blood. It's representative of the blood, all right? He uses it as a symbol as to how bad my sin and your sin and your sin and our sin really is. As a matter of fact, I just want you to think about it this way. And I've never taught this way before. But the sight of blood being poured out, for most people in this room, unless you work in the ER or you're a doctor, makes you sick. It makes you ill. It's disgusting. The sight of blood being poured out, it's like, oh my God, I can't look. I'm getting queasy. I'm getting sick. That's disgusting. I can't do it, right? I remember a while back ago, my grandma came to visit us from Texas. This was my dad's mom. And my grandpa had already passed away, so my grandma came to visit us, and she was going to be with us for a week. And my grandma was one of those, Hispanic, Spanish grandmas who would give big, sloppy, wet kisses. And when her teeth were out, it was even more wet and more sloppy. Come on, somebody, you know what I'm saying? Just say amen. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, she's like, oh, Ehon, I love you. So I'm like, Grandma, no. She's like, come here. And she'd bring me in, and she would just plant one on my face, and she wouldn't let go. And I mean, I'm just like, I'm tapping out. Grandma, I can't breathe. And we pull away, and then I get a little towel, just wipe off all the mucus and the saliva. And, I want to kiss you again. Grandma, I got to go take a math test. I got to go. So she stayed with us, and I remember one night, it was time to go to bed, and I was sleeping in the living room at that time because we were a house full of Mexicans and only 3 bedrooms, and so the youngest had the couch. Can I get an amen with somebody, please? And you know what? I turned out okay. I never grew up with my own bedroom, and I turned out okay. I'm like, can I get a bedroom? I turned out okay. Just love your kids, all right? I think I got my first bedroom in high school, and I thought it was awesome. And so I'm laying on the couch, and for some reason, she came out of her bedroom that she was staying in. We had a split level, so, we're upstairs, the kitchen, the bedrooms, the bathroom, and then, you go downstairs. There's a little landing, and then you go downstairs into the basement. And so she came out to the kitchen. I don't know what she was doing, but, I'm like, Grandma, you okay? She's like, yeah, no, I just wanted to get a drink of water. I don't know what it was. So she's leaving the kitchen. She turns off the light, and the house is dark because she didn't turn on the hallway light leading to her bedroom. So I roll over. I'm, going back to bed, and all of a sudden I hear, and boom, boom, boom. She somehow lost her balance in the dark, and she literally went heel over head, over heel over head, down the stairs onto the landing, crying, yelling in Spanish and English. I don't know what it was, but you know that. She's just crying and yelling. I jumped out of my bed couch because I was crying. Grandma, I came. I turned on the light. I ran downstairs. My parents came as fast as they could, but I got down there first. And I'm like, Grandma, you okay? She said, I don't know. And I start to see some blood start trickling right here from her head. And I'm like, oh, Grandma, you're bleeding a little bit. Let me go grab a towel. I ran upstairs, and I grabbed a towel from the bathroom. I ran downstairs, and I got down on my knee, and I put it right on her head, and I held her. I said, okay, Grandma, you're okay. And then my parents came, and they're checking in on her, and she's like, oh, her son, my dad, that's her son. He goes, oh, Joe, how is your insurance updated? And she's like, no, Grandma, it's not. So don't even think about it. Like, you're not suing me. And so I'm holding it there. This is all that's going on, right? And I see more blood coming out. And I'm like, okay, this is above my pay grade. I'm just a kid here. I'm trying to be the hero. And so I pull the towel back to see what's going on, and her scalp came back with the towel. Right? She literally scalped herself. I don't know how she did it, but she scalped herself, falling down the stairs. And when I pulled the towel back, I literally saw her scalp. It literally came up. And I went, oh, and I put it back down. I'm like, okay, somebody needs to call 911, and now. And I'm holding this thing, and blood is just trickling down the sides. And I'm disgusted. I can't handle this. This is the most disgusting, the most gross. It was making me sick. I was like getting sick to my stomach just seeing, and I'm trying to add pressure, but she just scalped herself so good. The blood's just coming down on each side. And I'm like, oh, I just cannot. This is the worst thing ever. This blood is making me sick. How many has that similar story ever happened to you, where you were with somebody and they were just bleeding out? You're like, I cannot take this. I cannot do this. Now, why do I tell that story of my grandma falling down the stairs and scalping herself and me being grossed out by her bleeding? It was disgusting. It was repulsive, because that's how God wants us to view our sin. Every time we sin, he wants us to view it as the blood. Disgusting. Repulsive. I can't believe I got that sin in my life. It makes me sick. I gotta get away from here. I gotta move away from here. This is making me sick. That greed that I have in my heart, that sin, it's disgusting. It's repulsive. That lust that's creeped into my eyes and my mind, it's disgusting. I don't want it anymore. It's repulsive. It's making me sick. The gossip that comes into me and then flows out of me is disgusting. It's repulsive. It makes me sick. It's like blood coming out of my grandma's head. I can't even look at it. I can't even be around it anymore. The pride that's in my heart from thinking that my sin didn't put Jesus on the cross because it was their sin. I'm too good to do that. Is repulsive. It's terrifying. It makes me sick. So the question is, how is your view on sin? God uses the blood as a symbol for sin. Blood freaks us out. Blood is repulsive to many of us. Blood is disgusting. Blood, we got to get away from blood. It makes us ill. How is our view when we sin in our life? Is it repulsive? Is it disgusting? Is it something we say, this is making me sick, I got to get away from this, I got to get this out of my life? Or do you, like Pilate, justify it in your mind and say, well, you know what? I only slept with 2 girls this week. Normally I sleep with 5. Jack, on the other hand, slept with 14. He put Jesus on the cross. I didn't. I only cheated on my wife once. Joe, on the other hand, is like dating another woman at the office. I mean, I'm not that bad, okay? He put Jesus on the cross. And so we look at our sin through the symbol of the blood, which Jesus said should disgust you, should just break you down, should make you sick and make you run away from the very thing that is actually taking you down a path to destruction and away from God. But instead we justify it. So before we take communion, I just want us to take a moment and search our heart and say, okay, God, I'm about to take communion. The reason why I'm taking this is because I'm remembering what you did for me on the cross. The blood that you poured out for the forgiveness of my sin, the blood which is repulsive when I see it. That's the symbol now for sin. When we see sin, I don't want that anymore in my life. So let's take a moment and let's just, in ourselves, in our heart, in our mind, and say, God, what's that thing in me that I don't want it there anymore? And just in this moment, just make it right with God. Just tell him, God, I need your help. I don't want to be Pilate. I don't want to justify this because my relationship's bad. I get to do this. Because work's bad, I get to do this a little bit. Because life's not going good and not easy, I get to do, because my kids are going crazy, I get to do this. And we justify it. And Jesus says, no. I want you to be the very thing that put me on the cross, your sin. I want you to be repulsed by it. I want you to, it kills. I want you to get that out of your life and get away from it. So would you take a moment and just say, Jesus, this is the sin in my heart and my mind. This is the sin in my life. Go ahead. He already knows. He's not going to be surprised. Okay, we prepared our hearts. We're going to take communion now. We've already admitted we're sinners. We've already admitted we're broken. We're already admitted that we choose Barabbas over Jesus almost all the time. We've already admitted that we justify our sin like Pilate. We like Jesus, we own it. We are so broken and dysfunctional. We are so jacked up. We need to be amazed by you. We need amazing grace to rock us out all over again and bring us back to that point where we first met you. And Jesus, you just rock my world. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that I want to be amazed by you again. And this amazing grace that Jesus gave his life when he didn't have to, it's because he wanted to. This symbol is of the blood that Jesus wants you to remember is like the sin in your life. But he gave it, poured it out for the forgiveness. This is the body that hung on the cross, that was scourged, that was ripped apart, that was shredded, that we chose Barabbas. We said we choose Barabbas, destroy Jesus. That's what we said. We choose our own desires, so destroy Jesus. Every time we choose our own desire and our own sin, we're saying, I choose my way, Barabbas, and I choose to destroy Jesus. And Jesus still took the beating. He was destroyed. He was scourged to the point of not even being able to be recognized. Blood everywhere. Flesh hanging everywhere. Don't ever question the love of God for you. You may have a bad day and wonder, do I love God? But don't ever question the love of God for you. You say, God, do you love me? And he said, yes. I sent my son and he did this. I love you this much. Now what are you going to do with that? Let's take that and let's remember what Jesus did. Let's take the wafer, the bread. This is a symbol of the blood that was poured out for someone like me, for someone like you. I remember not too long ago, right after a service, there was a young lady who didn't know whether she could take communion or not. And somebody pointed me out to her, and I went. She was hiding behind one of the pillars, and we started to talk, and she's like, I want to take this, but I don't know if I'm worthy. I'm like, you are not worthy. I said, I am not worthy. Nobody's worthy to take this. It's by amazing grace. And I began to share just some of the scriptures. And I said, it's because of what he's done. You're saved, you're redeemed. You've been made the righteousness of God. You're a daughter of God. You have royal blood flowing through your veins. You are an heir to the throne. Eternity is now in your life. You are purpose. You were created by God, for God, to live for a purpose for God. I said everything has radically changed because you took one step to say, Jesus, I'm bringing my sin to this relationship. Here you go. If you're willing to take me as is, then I'm going to follow you. And she's been following ever since. And she's on fire for Jesus. And I don't know where she's at in this place. I know she's here, but she's taking communion tonight knowing I don't deserve this, but because of him, I know I can. So let's take that and remember what Jesus did. Hey, Discover, we're going to finish out with this last song. I want to invite everybody back on Sunday. We got 2 amazing services. Bring somebody with you. I want to give a shout out to Kingdom City, who's sitting in our back rows over here. Kingdom City, where you at? Kingdom City, where you at? Kingdom City, where you at? This is Pastor Michael and Pastor Nicole's church out in Aurora. They brought a group here. We love you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. As I always say, love Michael and Nicole, treat them good, or we will take them back, okay? We'll take, because we love them. Listen, they have a heart for God, and they want to reach people. What you're seeing here is what they came out of. This didn't happen overnight. This took a long, long time of people who put aside personal preference. Well, this is the way they put aside personal preference to say, what can we do to reach more people for Jesus? And when you get a team like that together that says, look, we don't want Barabbas, we want Jesus. He'll rock that world. So thank you for being here. Michael, Nicole, love you with all of our hearts and all of our soul and all of our mind and all of our strength. You and all the boys and all the family, we love you, we miss you. We talk about you, we brag about you, we tell stories about you, but you know that already because you watch, and it's all good. Thank you for being here tonight. I want to invite you back on Sunday. Hey, listen, if you know somebody that needs to know Jesus, I'm telling you, bring them Sunday. Jelly Roll's going to be here? No. One of his songs? And Phil Collins is going to be here? No, we're going to do one of his songs. It's going to rock your world. It's going to rock. We're going to listen. We're going to redeem music that the devil might or might have taken away. We're going to redeem it, and we're going to use it, and we're going to lift up Jesus. And there's going to be a message that is going to go right to the soul of people who think God doesn't love them anymore, or is done, or never has, or even doesn't exist. And many people are going to come to know Jesus. Love you, Discovery. Let's worship out. Let's just finish out with this last song. Let's raise our hands. Before we go, let's not go yet. It's Friday night. You don't have to work tomorrow. Let's just raise our hands and let's worship God. Can we do that?
And I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. Sing, I'm embraced at the foot of the cross. And I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. Lift your voice one more time. I'm embraced. And I'm embraced at the foot of the cross by the love and mercies you've lavished on us. My every stain is washed away. I am forgiven. Everyone have a good weekend. All the other church, your church.